Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Ask Tamily interview number 166 with Kim. Her handle is Kim2M squared. If you're not following her, you should definitely give her a follow because she'll give you a bit of everything from Tam to puppies to fashion advice, and even some other kind of tips that we'll talk about today. So once she pops on, we will go ahead and get her in. I would say in the meantime, if you guys have questions for Kim, feel free to type them in the chat, and we look forward to getting her connected. Hi, Michelle. How are you? There's Kim. All right, we'll get her on in just a second here. Here we go. And the magic of Instagram will connect us. Yes. Woo woo. I'm very excited. Hi.
Hey.
I had to finish getting ready so I could represent all of your fashion tastes. I was like, I need to have a good outfit for my style icon over here. So welcome to Ask Tamily. We're so excited for your interview, Kim. It's been a long time coming. I know that not just me, others have been hounding you to join us too. So we're so glad.
I'm very excited too. I probably don't sound it because I'm British and we have a habit of our accents sounding either incredibly deadpan or very sarcastic. But I promise you, I'm neither.
Well, I love both, so feel free to bring any and all of it. We are very excited to get started. So we'll kick things off with kind of our favorite question, at least focused around the Tracy Anderson method, which is how and when did you get started with the method? Because I think you've been doing it a bit longer than you've been posting. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was trying to remember what year it was. I think it was just before I had Maya, maybe my daughter, or maybe just after. But so that's 2008. Okay. And I bought the Tracy Anderson Method DVD, the first one that I was actually thinking, was it VHS? But it was DVD. I'm not quite that old yet. Yeah, I post birth, that was the thing that I did, you know, in the living room, like we're all doing now. And it kind of went from there. And I think I just did that DVD every single day. Like that was my go-to. I just loved it. And there wasn't really anything else like it. I think I'm trying to think before that time when I was a bit younger, I loved Share and I loved Share Fitness. Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of that in a way. It was that really fun vibe, that really good music and high reps and lots of focus on your butt, which is always a good thing. So but I was and then I remember, I don't know if it was around the same time. I mean, it's kind of all merging into one when I think back to 2008-9. There was I was working at a hospital, and you know they always have really high quality reading material at hospitals. So I believe it was Hello magazine.
Okay.
And there was a photo in it of Gwyneth Paltrow and Madonna, and then just this little tiny pocket rocket in between them. And I remember just thinking I was really drawn to her, even though she was like, but I kind of was like, oh yeah, that's the one from the DVDs. And yet she really stood out because she just looked so calm and confident and, you know, inspiring between these two big names. And yeah, so it went from there really. And that was my introduction. So yeah, it was quite some time ago now.
That's awesome.
And I'd say I've kind of gone on and off. You know, I've not been amazingly consistent. I am a shameless fadster, I will say. So I can sometimes get kind of like, you know, drawn to something else. But if I look back through my exercise history, that's always the thing that I've ended up going back to, and the thing that's kind of, you know, had the most continuity, I would say, without pardon pun.
No pun intended. That's actually perfect though. And I have to laugh too. I don't know if you watch the show called Ted Lasso. But
I don't know why. I knew Ted Lasso was going to come up, and I haven't even started swearing yet. So.
Well, I just watched, I think it was the last episode of this current season last night, and there was a little comment when the friend comes through the window and said, "Oh, these Tracy Anderson workouts are really paying off." Oh my God, how cool is that?
I know. No, we've been Ted Lasso is a program we love in this household, and it's that scene. I've seen it going around actually on Instagram. It's hilarious.
I love that. Um, Goldie has a question for you. Actually, she was curious if you do continuity when you think about your journey and going from the Matt DVD and maybe some other things over the years. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I did. I kind of progressed from, like I say, that first DVD was kind of my go-to for quite a few years. And then I bought the various dance cardio and got more into that for a while, actually. I think because it's just that calorie burn and, and then, yes, and then I did the metamorphosis for the glutes and that was great. And continuity too. So, but I must admit, I kind of followed, I might do it for a little while and then kind of go off and do a bit of yoga because it does kind of lend itself, doesn't it, to these different dance cardio. You can get into aerobics. You can then think, oh, I'm going to up my aerobics game, or be it running, or that wasn't me. I hate running, but and yoga. I really see a lot of alignment with yoga there, which is something that I do love. So yeah, I don't know if that kind of answers the question, Goldie.
I think it does. And Deb has a question too about how did you first get connected to the Tamily when you think about that journey as well?
That's probably the strangest thing for me was that all that time, I mean, you're talking like over 10 years, I'd known Tracy Anderson, I'd dipped in and out all the time, but I had no idea really about Tamily because I was one of those few people who wasn't on social media. So I wasn't on Facebook, wasn't on Instagram, didn't really, when I was on Facebook, I think you were still poking people, and I don't even know if you do that anymore. So I was, so I just didn't, and that shows you really, it's quite powerful how powerful social media is, because I didn't know of this time. I used to get like newsletters to my email, but I must admit, probably like most people, you unread it and think you're going to catch up at some point and never do. So so it was sorry, I've completely gone off on a tangent. Last year my daughter wanted to go on Instagram, and I didn't want to be a complete big mother to her and access her account, even though I can if I want to. She might be watching, so I have to be careful what I say. And I thought I'd open an Instagram account so that I could basically keep an eye on her indirectly. And like you do, very quickly, I just started scrolling. And it's amazing how the suggestions come up so quickly on, who to follow. And I checked out Tracy's Instagram and the Tracy Anderson Online Instagram. And then, of course, all these suggestions came up. So that's how I suddenly realized that there was a Tamily and that actually there was so many people doing it. It's funny how you can almost think you're the only one. Right. Or maybe that's my but and I think I'm trying to think the first accounts, I guess it was people who have got quite like massive following. It was like Monica, who's just so sweet and lovely. Monica was there was Erica Boom, who you just watch and you're like, oh my god, I don't do that, I really don't. So and so then I was like, oh, follow. So between Tamily and Newfoundlands, that was my follower. That's the people I was following on Instagram, and that's how it came to be. And then I think I'd seen Adidas, and I realized she did these Zooms, and I was like, oh my god, wow! And she's in London, and I saw pictures of the Team London, and their meetups and things, and so I reached out to the lovely Adita, and it went from there.
I love that. I think that's such a great story, and it kind of makes me giggle because I probably have had the exact same thought. You know, when we're working out alone at our home, it's easy to think that we're the only one doing the method. And then you pop on Instagram and everybody is, excuse me, doing it alone, but together. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and do you know what? I had this. You're either going to think I'm completely bloody bonked. I've sworn. I knew I would. Sorry, but I had this thought of how the Tracy Anderson method is a little bit like Star Wars in terms of the Force, you know, because we're like these little Jedis who, you know, you can, like you say, be on your own and working out. Yet you kind of got all these little voices for the whole Tamily within you, and you know that they're doing it too. And yeah, that came to me today.
I think that's perfect. I know there's several people watching, and Tracy will watch this at some point too and totally feel that everybody's a fan. So I think that's a great question. Sticking to the kind of joining the Instagram, I am curious the meaning of your Instagram handle. Do you spell Kim with 2 M's?
No. So if you haven't realised, I'm like a massive geek, and I love numbers, and I was playing around with numbers really. This is such a random. You're all going to think I'm mental. So basically, I have 4 M's in my life, as is, you know, on one of my necklaces here, and you probably all know them by now. But there's Manfred, my Newfie Poo, and Maverick, the horrendously naughty Newfoundland, who's actually behaving at the moment. Mordecai, who is my Maine Coon. And you see the order I've done this in, and Maya, my daughter. I was scrolling through my photos the other day actually, and she was like, "Mummy, there's no picture of me. It's just pictures of the dogs." So I have 4 M's, and I was sitting there thinking, with algebra, how else can you write 4M, 4 times M? And if you were doing it with X, 4X, 2 times X, square it, that's 4. So that's where that name comes from.
I like it. And I like the meaning behind it. I think that's pretty cool and creative too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Until someone said to me once, they said, "Oh, are you trying to be a bit like a Kardashian, where you name all your children and animals with the same?" No, it would be the most boring English version of a TV series you could get.
Well, that's a whole other thing that's pretty funny too.
So yes, that's where the name comes from.
Okay, very cool. Michelle has a question for you. She says she loves your dancing posts, and she's curious, number 1, do you have a favorite dance? And also, what is the first dance that you learned?
Well, I put all my dancing down to Madison, trainer Madison, because I hadn't danced for ages. And when I joined the online streaming, I remember going straight to catapult, as you do, and thinking, yeah, I can do this. And it was her catapult where she's in the yellow top and the blue leggings, pants, I should say. And I just loved it. It was the happiest. Maybe because she smiles throughout, but that for me is like, oh, I just loved it so much. And I think I don't do DC that often, I admit, but when I do, I nearly always just do that one. And I think it just, like, I know it off by heart. It brings me so much joy. It's such a wonderful, fantastic dance that, and they're all my favorites as well. And you know, I have to put it down to her as well. So that's my inspiration, and that's my favorite one by far.
I love that. I think it's great if you can find a connection to dance that way, and whatever motivates you and keeps you doing it is the best reason to do it. So
yeah, for sure. It definitely does. I mean, I must admit, I'm pretty terrible with the dances. I find that even I did one today, I did Crystal's live, and I feel like all I ever do is a grapevine. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing, I'll go back to a grapevine. That comes from my fitness days.
That's that's the best advice, is to just keep moving through it. There'll be parts that come up that you don't know, but I think the point is just keep going, do a little freestyle. It's good if you can do grapevine. I'm always worried I'm going to trip on my own feet and fall over during the grapevine. So that's like need to.
No, I've got nailed. I'm quite and a step.
I might need a tutorial from you.
Video.
So, what's that?
That's a video coming up.
Exactly. Please. What kind of results have you seen over the past 10 years working out with the Tracy Anderson method?
More than anything, and I guess this is where my vocation comes into it. I think that kind of utilization of accessory muscles, of doing body weight strength work in all angles, rather than just the kind of sagittal, the forward backward plane. For me, it improves your posture. It injury wise, when I've done other things, CrossFit, weightlifting, which I have great respect for, I think without having that kind of movement in your life and that kind of engagement of those small muscles in your life, you're so open to injury. And so for me, I mean, as I've got older, I mean, I'm 40 tomorrow, and when I look kind of through when you're maybe when you're a bit younger, it's very much about aesthetics and how you look and how you, and certainly there's changes to be seen with that. But most recently, in the past few years, for me, it's been about, and particularly the last year, it's been about how it makes me feel. I said to Michelle earlier, I love Michelle and Goldie so much. I love everyone, but these two, I'm very, very close to those two. And it's just how it makes you feel. I always come off the mat just feeling so happy and so glad that I mean, what's that cheesy quote? The only workout you regret is the one you never do. It's so it's that. And then I know when I've done it, I'm calmer for Maya. I'm calmer in the house. I'm a bit calmer with the dogs.
Yeah,
definitely Annie, maybe not Maverick, but I am definitely. So that for me is more important than anything. And being injury free, being feeling my posture's good. It's so much more than aesthetics for me. I mean, yeah, of course, it 100% I think keeps you in great shape, and I think the posture it gives you is amazing. But it's it's definitely, for me, it's how it makes me feel, which has got to be one of the most important things.
Oh yeah. And how it makes you feel inside shows on the outside too. So I think that's also where some of that crossover really does come together, of the whole mind, body, spirit of the workout. And then you layer on the Tamily as some frosting of that, right? Or depending how you look at it, Tamily might be the cake and the workout is the frosting, but
absolutely,
kind of all goes together.
Yeah. And of course, I got to meet my first Tamily member in person a few weeks ago when I met Adina, and I went to her house and her magical tam cave, and it's just which was just incredible. It was such an amazing experience. I mean, those floors, wow.
Right? You feel weight jump. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, obviously the kind of protection on your joints is phenomenal. And I admit, I kind of had been like, not sure. Is it the cynical person in me was like, is it a bit of, oh, am I buy this, buy that? But actually, if you, and even for the mat work, I was surprised how different it made things feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was amazing. That was such a great experience. Thank you, Adina.
The floors will give you feedback, so they won't allow you to like lazily drop your leg down or anything, because it'll make noise and you'll be like, oh, what is that? Who's behind me? And then you realize it's yourself, or if you drop the weight too hard. So I think it helps reinforce just the control and engagement throughout your workout, even on the mat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. And I think if the floors aren't an option to you, then of course it's footwear is really important.
Yeah.
This is so physio.
Yeah.
Like a foot anatomy and biomechanics, and everyone will drop off. Sorry.
No, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. Actually, Deb had another question too, and she was curious, are there any TA moves that you adapt
Who was that?
or Deb, Tam
Ah,
Menopause?
I loved him so much. Her and I have a very similar sense of humour, which I don't think anyone else gets.
Of course they do.
Sorry, what was the question?
So do you adapt any of the moves, or have you had to kind of make any tweaks for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm a very big believer in ownership of exercise. I think that, again, whatever exercise you do, you can have guidelines, but it's if you start kind of thinking, oh, but this move just isn't very good, and because I can't do it exactly how the trainer's doing it. I always feel you've got to take a bit of ownership there, and your bodies, we're all so different, and you have to look at the move and then think, okay, well, maybe for my hip, that angle just isn't working. So it's quite intuitive sometimes. Like I might on my left hip, I get a bit of impingement. So sometimes if I'm doing a hydrant, I might have like a bench near me,
Yeah.
and I'll just pause for a second and then bring it back. I use yoga blocks a lot as well for when I know I don't have the flexibility to maybe achieve the position I want, then I'll fill it in with the yoga block. So yeah, I think I adapt all the time. And just for me, and sometimes people will say, oh, would that be better if I use that? And I'm like, I don't know, because it depends on you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a
Point.
bit of ownership and not being hard on yourself. If for your body that move just doesn't work, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not at a certain level or you're not able. It's just that you're like physically your anatomy just might not let you do it. Splits is a big example, right? I mean, some people are just, you will never be able to do box splits in your life. It's just and that's fine. It's just how it is. It's how your hips are put together. So you just adapt. But I do think, yeah, I think taking that bit of ownership is really empowering.
100%. And I think with the splits too, in particular, because I feel like everyone gets bent out of shape out of that, it's not about the split. So it's more about, can you find whatever your range of movement is and actually use your abs to get up and out of it instead of just like forcing yourself into a split, right?
Yes, 100%. It is. It's kind of looking beyond the movement and thinking. And again, I kind of like that they don't always suggest regressions, because I do think again that self discovery and self education, it makes a massive difference to your practice. And hey, even in other things you do, if you I like cycling, so for me, I know that I get stiff in certain places in my hip flexors and stuff, and I know that if I'm doing a split, I might actually do a more kind of adapted split, so I actually get more deeper into my hip flexors,
Yeah.
because that benefits me. And yeah, it's kind of doing that. So again, another long-winded answer, but yes, I do make adaptations. Sorry.
I love it. And I think that's helpful for everyone listening too, is, everybody needs that reminder. Tracy is a guide, and then you have to make it work within your own body, and everybody is different and abilities are different and all those things. So I think that's great advice.
And I think thank you, because I really think evolution, and I love that about Tracy herself. I think she'd say herself that the message she might have been sending 10 years ago is maybe a bit different to what she's sending now. I know certainly her stuff that I love is when she's saying, don't tell me you want to look like Gwyneth, or don't tell me you want to look like, just say you want to be you and be the best version of you. And certainly as a mother of a tween, that's the message that I really going out more and more to the world now. So
yes, and we should celebrate not only Tracy but others, because she has invested in learning so much too over the past 10 years. So she may have said something 10 years ago, now she has more information. And I feel like we should praise when people change their mind. That's actually a really good thing when you have more information and you can have new thoughts and new ideas. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of, shooting people down for saying, oh, but you said this 6 years ago when things were different. I know people's wants were different, and so yeah, evolution, very important.
yes, 100%. So we have several questions in the chat. I'm going to try to keep up with these. So everybody keep typing them in, and I promise I am tracking with you. Mega has a question. What's your all-time favorite tip for doing TAM? So I think that's great. That kind of ties into advice for people doing TAM as well.
I think it's, I guess, going back to what I said earlier about tune out a little bit from what everyone else is doing and think what feels right for me, you know, and it might be week on week that changes. But I think really tune in with yourself and don't put pressure on yourself to, if one day you can't do mat work and DC, it's fine. You know, it's fine. And try and look at the long term. Don't look at the short term. Like, rather than think, oh God, I've got 10 weeks to achieve this goal. Well, maybe change your goal rather than trying to put pressure on yourself to do loads more. I think that makes a huge difference. You know, it's about the long journey rather than the sprint.
100%. I love that advice. I'm going to make a note even for myself on that to remember. So we've got another question from Goldie, and of course she starts it out geek question. So let me read this out. She's so cute. From your professional point of view, how do you feel about focusing on the accessory muscles? Are we getting enough for our big group muscles?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I guess I think of it in layers. I mean, for me, and this is purely in my kind of professional capacity, I think all muscles are important, and I don't think anyone would kind of say otherwise on that. But I think it's kind of building the foundation. So for me, it's always about the bones first. You know, how's your, to be honest, even before that, it's how's your sleep, how's your nutrition, how's your very, very basics, how are those foundations. Then how are the joints, how are your bones, how's your posture. And then there's no, I think then the accessory, we kind of call them stability, but those smaller muscles, having them engaged and switched on is the next layer. And once that's done, then I do think including some things to recruit your larger muscle groups are important, because if you think of things like a squat and a deadlift, and there's lots of different ways of doing them, and actually some of the TAM stuff you don't necessarily see it at first, but they are involving those moves. But I think those so-called compound lifts they are important, because, you know, getting on and off a chair is a squat, and you know, lifting your giant dog off the floor is a deadlift, and you know, a bench press, maybe pushing something in the garden, pushing your wheelbarrow, pushing, you know. So they are functional movements, and I do think functional movement is so important. So for me, I do like a little bit of weight into routine, because I think if you look at studies on things like osteoporosis, then adding some weight in. But I certainly think, I know that if I do some weightlifting, I can feel the benefit of having strong accessory muscles supporting and providing me with a platform that I can then do you know, the bigger lifts in.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And yeah, some of the, you know, larger muscles and more compound movements you're also going to get in your everyday life if you are picking up giant dogs, or helping a family member, or, you know, dealing with whatever too. So yeah, it does work in harmony, and you know, you can always try to find that balance. Goldie had a follow-up question too. Part of me thinks it's because she's so awesome would be my answer to this, but she said, how come TAM doesn't really make me sore?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's just because you're so good at it. I do think good technique comes into it. I think your conditioning, it depends how, you know, maybe if because I know with Goldie, she comes from a strong exercise background, that conditioning is already there. So for both the lungs and the heart, and then obviously the muscles as well, they're already conditioned, and they're already used to removing the lactic acid and you know, staying nice and healthy. Whereas if you're coming in from any exercise brand new, you do sometimes notice a build up in lactic acid, or if there's certain muscles that you just don't have the endurance in, and suddenly there's a week where we're working them massively, then I mean, I find that because I've got tight hip flexors, if there's a week where we've got our leg straight instead of the knee being bent, so you've got this long lever, I know that, oh my gosh, the next day I really feel it in my hip flexors, and maybe that's because I haven't used my core enough. But yeah, that's what I would say. I'm not a physiologist, but that's what I think would be the answer.
Yeah, I think that's great. Nicole had a question too for you. Do you have a favorite shoe for Tam, and do you wear different shoes for dancing versus mat work?
I've tried so many shoes, and I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that you have to really be individual. You have to, everyone's feet are different and everyone's needs are different. So I was actually very anti-Hoka. I was like, I'm not joining the Hoka brigade. I'm not going to do it. I'm kind of, I'm a loyal Nike fan. I love Nike so much. I mean, they're kind of in-house engineering and the chemist and all of this that they use is unbelievable. But just recently I bought a pair of Hokas purely because they looked nice, and I thought I'd wear them as my going out shoe. And then I wore them by accident. I just forgot to change them, and they were like incredible. They were incredible. And so that's right now, that's the shoe of choice for me for both DC and mat work.
Okay. You're going to get followings to which model of Hoka, because some of them have soles that are like this thick. There are some that are like this. You have
I think it's the Bondi. It's quite a thick sole.
Bondi, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a big one. I like that for men. I tried it for dancing. I, of course, like tripped on myself. I felt like I was like dancing on marshmallows.
I mean, I'm quite, I get plantar fasciitis and I've got very tight calves. So it kind of makes sense actually that for me, they work well because of the shock absorption. But everyone, they're different. I mean, occasionally though, I went through a phase last year where I was doing a lot of stuff barefoot, not DC, but I was doing a lot of mat work barefoot, and it just felt nice. So yeah, I know it's a really kind of lame answer, but I just think it's so individual. You've got to find the one that's right for you.
Yeah, it is true. It's like Goldilocks, and one person may love a shoe, but it doesn't mean someone else will. It's similar to mascara, right? Everyone might have a favorite, but it's like, oh, this one's flaking off on me or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to try that.
Yeah, so true.
So Deb had another question for you about tea, and I've scrolled past it, so I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was something about English breakfast, something else. Can you tell us? Oh, look at your pot. How cute. What's your tea of choice, and how do you take it?
One second, and I'll show you my current tea. I'm this is my current one. It's a Piccadilly blend. It's a black tea.
Okay.
It's got some kind of funky blue stuff in. I'm not even quite sure what it is, but it's I am a big fan of black teas. They tend to be my favorite. I do like a South African rooibos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Especially if I'm not feeling well. I don't know why. I find that tea really, really comforting. What other teas do I like? I like a fennel tea, fennel and chamomile if I've kind of eaten too much Biscoff, which I did today pre-tan. That's like my 3 scoops of Biscoff and I'm ready to go on the mat.
So funny. I think the fennel and licorice root kind of provide a little bit of natural sweetness to some of the teas too, and like kind of like you said, a little bit of stomach calming maybe. I always like it at night.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I tend to have like a chamomile pre bedtime. But yeah, I do love a builder's, we call it a builder's English tea. Love it. That's like a kind of nice morning, and I do put milk in it, and I'll never kind of move away from that.
Good. It's good for you. It's full of antioxidants, so can't go wrong with that.
Exactly.
We have another question, and I'm not sure. Of course, I have to turn my head sideways. Polyphrenia. I don't know. You'll have to tell me what your name is. But she said your styling is very Brit, way idiosyncratic / adorable. Where do you take inspiration from? I'm curious about this too, so please indulge us.
Oh, Um, I've always loved Paris. For me, it's my favorite city of all time. Even when I was little, I think I used to look at the Parisian women and they had this elegant but also quite laid back style. It was like the ultimate mix. And excuse me. And for me, I think that's where I draw a lot of inspiration. But yeah, are there any? I can't say that I have particular icons as such. I think I definitely have like designers that I really just think do the most amazing things, both high street and high end, who just have such, you're drawn to certain designers, and so people like Isabel Marant I just think's just funky and cool, and always has always has great pieces. Jennifer Burke and I actually, we both love Stein Goya, who does these quite outlandish prints, and but again, really nice cuts. But I definitely like that kind of, anything high neck, androgynous, I think was quite cool. So yeah, kind of here, there, and everywhere, I would say.
I love that. You can kind of, depending what your tastes are, but you can see and find inspiration for fashion kind of anywhere, even just outside in nature,
Yeah.
high-end fashion magazines. Some of the stuff I see, it's so beautiful, but I'm like, would someone actually be able to wear this? I don't know. Not me, because I'm so like boring with my normal clothes. It's like black, white, and jeans, whatever. But I think it's so fun to see. And you particularly pull off the like buttoned up shirt so well. It's like my favorite look of all time. And I can't say that I can't do it. I need to find the right shirt to make it work.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's the and the patterns.
And I
So
think
fun.
if you're comfy in something,
Yeah.
then it immediately looks better. It kind of, there's so many people I kind of wanted to mention, because I'm sure people will always get this. There's so many of the Tamily that I love their accounts. But studio members, Julia, she's the crazy shoe woman.
Yes.
Love her account. I just love it, and I love seeing like what she posts and the fashion shows she's been to, and she seems to know all these smaller brands, which is awesome. It's so great to know all these smaller brands. And I think it's Claudia. She's amazing as well. She has some really fun styles, probably more daring than I would wear, but very, very cool. So yeah, no, that's great. And Nadia's got really cool style as well. I like seeing what she wears. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's always great inspiration even in my feed, although I have to be like, I don't need any more leggings, or I need another pair of leggings, like I need a hole in the head type of thing. So I'm like, I just have to appreciate from afar and just say, I really like that. I don't need that. But it's fun. I think it makes the workout fun when you're working out in something kind of fun that brings you joy and energy and you feel good.
Like we all love seeing what Goldie's gonna be wearing. Yeah. Oh, Michelle with her neon, I just love it so much. Always fun outfits, and I love her like supporting Tamily members who have their own businesses as well. I mean, how amazing that these women with Sigrid, I love her because of her cat as well. She's a fellow. Yeah. But I did want to feature, because I got these amazing leggings from a little bit of free advertising from the Lift Nation. And it's just they're so awesome, and I love that. And I've got some pieces from Erica, her amazing Fit Mama, which, oh my god, the quality is just unbelievable. And then from Laura, who had the atelier, she made some cool masks and things. So I really try and support these women, because they're amazing. And it's hard. It's hard having your own business anyway. It is harder if you're female. It's getting better, but it's still tough out there. And I like being able to say to Maya, this lady right here on Instagram, this is her business. She did this. You could do this, So
yeah, I love that. And just again, that's kind of more of the network support within the community that's like built into all of this, which is so great. Yeah. I've got another question for you, non-TAM related, although it may still kind of tie in, and you've touched on it a little bit, but maybe if you could tell us in a little bit more detail, what do you do professionally?
So I'm a physiotherapist. which I believe in the States is a physical therapist.
Okay.
I think the same crossover. So I basically treat people who have my focus is musculoskeletal injuries. So kind of much what we talk about, you know, shoulder injuries, hip injuries, back injuries. And rather than prescribing medicine, I prescribe exercise or, you know, and lifestyle changes. And my special interest has always been pain, like that, particularly what we call like the epidemiology of pain. So how you can get, you know, how culture, how you know, nature, nurture, how all these things can affect someone's perception of pain. I find it so interesting because there's a huge psychological, you know, impact there. And I think how it affects, you know, from things like how you carry yourself, from how you approach exercise, from how you approach life. It's really interesting. So yeah, people come and see me, and it may be they tell me they've got a shoulder issue that's suddenly come on, and what can they do to help? Or I have people, actually interestingly, I've recently seen people who have got long COVID, and they have, you know, they're struggling to walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. So that focus has been much more on respiratory muscle training and the strength and conditioning of you know, those muscles. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I do.
That's awesome. And I think we have a little surprise. So I'm going to invite a special guest into the chat who has a couple of potential questions or just discussion for you. So once she pops on, there she is.
Surprise! Nice to see you.
We wanted to reach out to Adita. We know, and I know you shared this kind of at the beginning, but the two of you had recently met in person. So we know that you got to experience all the amazingness of Adita's Tam Cave. And some of the feedback that we got when we did an Ask Tamily corporate interview or whatever a while ago was we asked for some kind of feedback and advice on what can we do for interviews moving forward. And one of the pieces of advice came from Katie, who her handle's KT Instatam. And she said, yeah, really great if we could have a guest on, somebody that's actually met the person being interviewed, add a little bit of a chat and kind of tell a little bit about the story of how you guys met. So I'd love to do that. We don't necessarily have anything formal planned, so I'll stop talking for a little bit, and I'll let Adita kind of pop on for a bit. She was like our very first interview, so this is kind of really fun to come around full circle.
First of all, I would like to say I'm so honored to be here, like, you know, and to be back in Ask Tamily, and also to be with Kim. So I love Kim, and you know, it's amazing to be here, to be honest. So well, I'm going to do something different today. So I know that, okay, the Tamily will be asking questions, but today I think I'm going to play a game. So let's play a game.
Okay.
Now you just mentioned that, you know, you're our like musculoskeletal superstar.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you for we play a game where I'm gonna ask you 4 parts of the body, and then you will tell me what's the name of the bone or the muscle, the first muscle or bone that you can think of when I say that particular part of the body. Are you ready? It's okay if it's wrong, it's fine. Like, you know. Okay, so are we ready?
I love it. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, I know you know, because I know Kim loves a challenge. She's an A-star.
I do. My challenge is trying to ignore my dog, who's being very annoying and walking around, but that's fine, he's gone.
Okay, first one, head. So what's the first muscle or bone that you can think of when you say head?
The frontalis.
Frontalis, okay. Frontali, okay.
Frontalis.
Okay.
Front IS.
Okay, cool. Secondly, shoulders.
Deltoid.
Shoulders.
Deltoid.
Deltoid.
If that was muscle.
Cool. See, Kim knows her stuff. Knees.
Pectineus.
Yes. Ooh, okay. Toes.
Extensor hallucis longus.
Okay, you're gonna regret this, Kim. But okay, what's it called? Extensor.
Hallucis. Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now that you've got that four parts,
Yep.
I'm gonna sing a song in the parts, but you're gonna sing the song in the name of that bone. Okay? So I'll start and you follow. Is that okay?
I've got to remember
Are you ready?
it now.
So I'm gonna start. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Okay, right, and I say my of it.
So you're
It's
gonna
gonna
so you're gonna say the skeletal. Yeah, you're gonna say the skeletal bone part. Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna start.
New muscles. Is that okay? Are we cool with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Any muscles or bone, the first thing that you can think of. So I'm sure your toes, you're gonna regret it by now. But we'll do it. We'll do it. It's a challenge, Kim. Come on, you can do this. Okay, I'll go.
I repeat each one after you, or you go and then.
I'm gonna repeat the sentence.
Right.
And you can join us. Okay, you can either join me or join Kim. So.
Okay.
Alright. So I'm gonna start and then you're gonna say, okay? Ready?
Go.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Right. Frontalis, deltoid pectineus, extensor hallucis longus.
Okay. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Frontalis, deltoid pectineus, extensor hallucis longus.
Okay, now this one we'll sing the chorus together. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose.
Frontalis, deltoid pectineus, and extensor hallucis longus.
Yay!
Oh my gosh, I just got live.
Well done, well done. See, I know Kim
Oh,
stuff. So yeah.
That was really in my head. Okay, and then I'll probably realise I've said the wrong anatomy as well.
It's fine. Yeah. So that's if people ask me how I know Kim and how what I think about Kim, well, that just sums it up. So she's smart, she's organized, she's lovely. Yeah, she's a true friend. So and she's really fun as well.
Thank you so much, Adita. I love you very much too. The happiest person I've ever met in my life. Even though Frank didn't like me.
I think it's lunch. It was lunchtime. So we have to do that. So
Sigrid, I think she knew.
Cute. I'm curious, did the two of you just meet recently when you did the meetup, or had you met previous to that?
No, I did.
Well, actually, it was from Instagram, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Kim, yeah, we reached out through Instagram. We wanted to meet up during one of the meetups we organized. But then,
had a
yeah, you had an injury. Yeah. So Kim missed that one. So and then Kim reached out and said, oh, okay, that she was wanted to know more about the floors, and yeah. So I said, for you to know, you have to try. So yeah. So I told her to come over, and then we had Tracy's salad. That's what we had.
Yeah, I made it a few days later as well. I got my avocado mayo.
Oh yes, avocado mayo, and then
I'm slowly.
And there's one also, I think the day when I met Kim, I also found out that Kim's a lover of rice and Malaysian food. So that's it. Like, that's it. You're invited to all the family dinners now with our rice and
give me some rice and I'm happy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, this is so fun. I'm so glad that it worked out for you to hop on, Adita and Kim. Hopefully we didn't torture you too much with the singing, but I think that's like...
Sorry. Before I talk to you watching with my horrendous singing. So
No, it's perfect.
I'm like,
half the time they'll hear us singing during our workout recordings anyway. I know Adita's not afraid to sing. She was singing some recently, so you gotta just let it out.
Only during headstands. I sing only during headstands. That's my cue.
yeah. Oh, that was great fun. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Super fun. Well, Adita, you can stay on with us if you want. If you have a question, you can feel free to ask. I've got a few more questions on the list, so I'm going to keep it going because I think we still have 10 minutes to torture Kim. She's going to be like,
okay. I'll let the others get the chance to torture her now, so I'll go.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Time and
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so how do I need to press something? I only know how to enter.
Stuck here forever. I think if you
This is
just
probably the
exit
worst
out, it should be.
engineering career I can't figure this out.
Trouble with technology.
Okay.
If anyone knows in the chat, they can type it in.
Normally,
I want to get out, and then end everybody's. Okay.
you can.
Okay. I think I just go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I know how. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I'll see you soon. I'm gonna read all the girls' questions too. So have fun. Good luck.
Debs, but get off the stage, Adita.
That was so fun. We wanted to have a surprise, so sorry I didn't tell you, but that's the best way to do
I
it.
loved it. No, that was great. That was really good. I loved it. Sorry for my singing.
So we'll get back to a few other questions that we have, and anybody else who has questions, you can type them in the chat, and I'll do my best to keep up with everything. But I'm curious, like, is there a TAM move that you used to hate, or hate's a strong word, maybe not like, that now you love or you enjoy?
The good old side plank, because for me, right, because I've got such tight hip flexors, I find them so difficult to do because I just can't extend. So it's really easy to hurt my back when I'm doing them. But I have worked on them immensely. And in this week's IMC, there's one where the last move where you go up into the side plank, and I think it's such a beautiful move. And I feel like I've almost nailed it now. So that's the move that I have gone from literally, I must admit, if it was in, I'd be like, oh, just leave it out. If I have a water break and then go from there. So yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you've been able to evolve through that and at least feel like more comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What is your routine? Like, which class do you do most regularly, or do you kind of rotate classes?
I move. I've got this one here. He's being completely needy. Fred, this is Manfred. He's very needy. The other one, the little tubster, he's down here, so doesn't care. He's not interested. So at the moment, I'm doing IMC. I'm doing it live as much as I can as well. I like a fast IMC is for me exactly what I need right now. It's, I must admit, because I don't do that much cardio. My heart rate goes up massively. They're really lovely moves. They're really, you see Danielle said, Danielle loves my dogs so much, and they love her too. So so that's definitely it. But whereas last year I got quite into, I was doing an advanced, and that was it. But I think because I have done a lot of strength training over the years and quite a lot of yoga, I kind of feel what I need right now in my life is what IMC gives me. So yeah, but I'm loving the lives, like the music and the trainers. I'm just hoping Ryan, I love all the trainers, but as you know, I love Ryan. I'm really hoping that he probably thinks I'm a stalker because I'm always on his account all the time, but I just think he's amazing. So I'm hoping when he does that first live, I'm going to be like, yay.
Oh my God, I feel the same. Even if it's like 5 a.m., I've messaged him like, get you on this live schedule. So there's definitely like competition going for that. He did pop on here. I'm not sure if he's still on. I think he's traveling doing something with dance too, which is so fun to see. Kind of everybody starting to get back into, you know, all of, I don't want to say normal life, but somewhat somewhat more normal. What time of day do you typically work out, or do you vary it based upon the lives, or you?
At the moment, I'm doing that a bit more. It's a bit difficult because obviously we're still waiting for the Madrid, which I can't wait. There's some awesome trainers. I love Chris. They're amazing. So yeah, I'm waiting for that, but it depends on my schedule. So I might do it really early. I really have to try and motivate myself in the evenings, and the lives have helped with that because I notoriously don't mind training in the evening. But I think because they're the atmosphere, you know, of them, and when I'm in my little dojo and I'm ready to go, they're yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm.
So speaking of your own personal dojo, tell us a little bit about, where do you work out? Is that in your home? Do you go to a gym?
Yeah. No, it's in the home. We converted the garage into a gym. So it's a real mix because there's like heavy weightlifting equipment down one end, and then there's my little kind of, you know, dojo in the other. And you know, I don't have the floors. I'm kind of looking at that at the moment. But you know, I've got the mirrors and I've got quite a nice up in there. And sometimes I sometimes I use heat and humidity, sometimes not. It depends because I do find it rusts all of the other equipment we've got in there, so I have to be a bit careful because I get into trouble for that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just, I have free humidity here in Florida, and I have to be careful constantly battling that, you know, with rust.
Zero chance of that. Zero chance of that in England.
No. You're mostly looking for sunshine in England, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a drizzly English rainy day today, like it is 300 days of the year. So.
Come on, sunny Florida whenever you want. I've got space for you in my garage gym.
Definitely, I cannot wait till we can travel again.
Me too. I'll be heading to your across the pond as well, so fingers crossed soon. Well, I know we've got just a couple of minutes left. Goldie had one other question. Do you feel electrolytes really help us while tamming?
You know, I've only, in a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with Erica Boom, and because she had been mentioned electrolytes, and then when I saw Adita, we were talking about it, and I was like, no, I've never taken them before, and so yeah, only in the past 2 weeks I've started taking them, and the difference has been amazing because, you know, we do long workouts. They're not kind of short hit workouts, they're long workouts, and you do need that replacement. And I'm amazed to the point where it's something I would definitely recommend to my patients as well, because I think they're amazing. So just been experimenting with different brands at the moment just to make sure there's not too sugar filled ones. But
yeah, that can be the tricky part, is like,
and you just admitted to eating Biscoff like it's ice cream.
Hey, we all need a little sugar in life. It's like, what's life without that? But I had to laugh. You had a post up where I think you had an electrolyte drink, like maybe in a beer pint glass or something, and you're like, this isn't beer.
Like a pint, didn't it? And I was like, oh no.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, to wrap up, I mean, this has been so wonderful to talk with you. Thank you for joining us. I did want to ask if there's anything that you would want the family Tamily to know before we sign off, or anything else that you'd like to say before this is memorialized forever and ever on Instagram and eventually on YouTube.
You know, I'm always trying to put quotes out to my daughter and about positivity, and just and I think something that predominantly women, I'm not saying it's not applicable to guys as well, but given everything we've said today about find your own lane, do what's right for you, know that, you know, there's no competition, it's all about support. And there's a quote that I love, which is you know, Danielle, like this, I know her husband's a philosopher, and it's a very intelligent quote by Dr. Zeus, and it's today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you.
I love that. That is so perfect on so many levels. I love it. Thank you for sharing that with us.
No worries at all.
Well, it's been so fun. I feel like I could stay here and talk to you all day, and I'm
Very much. Likewise, and thank you to everyone who's, wherever you are in the world, different time zones, tuned in to listen to little old me. And I'm impressed at how little I've sworn.
Great. I probably swore more than you did. That's typically.
I did. Favorite swear words might come up, but but you guys,
Well,
I don't think people, I didn't realize how much effort you and the Ask Tamily team put into these interviews. I mean, my chat with Kristen, and that it's overwhelming. And I think it's only when you do one of these you realize how much effort you guys go to, and it's amazing.
Well, we love it. Thank you so much.
No
And this has been awesome. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to go motivate myself to go hit the mat now because I haven't done that yet.
Thank you.
It's
my last day being 39.
Yes, happy early birthday.
I'm on the tea, but I'm about to get onto the wine. So.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This has been fantastic. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.